So I go into this audition and I'm reading the scene with Jeff Goldblum, and it's my first audition ever in my life.
So weird.
And he's playing my dad. And then at one point, he just stood up and stood over me because I'm like this rebellious teen. And he stood over me like a dad would do. And he's also a very large, tall man.
Yeah.
And he's so in the moment. And when he stood up, it was like nobody else was in the room. It was him and I having a full on argument about what I will and will not do. And I'm not having it. And I just was so in the moment, living moment to moment, listening, hearing, playing off of him. And we were done and the scene was over. I left that building. It was over on Warner Brothers. It was actually on the lot at Warner Brothers. And I'm walking between warehouses and I say to myself, this is what I'm meant to do. I don't care if I get this part. That was the most amazing experience. I was doing exactly what I've been training to do.
Wow.
I can do this. This is my destiny.
What if it was a shitty audition? Would you have felt the same way?
I don't care. I don't know because that's not what happened.
That's not what. See, that's how my mind works. I always think, okay, you were great last night, but you're going to suck tomorrow. That's unfortunately how my mind works. Like it's never enough. It's never freaking enough. But that in that moment, you're young, you're ambitious, you have this wonderful encounter with Goldblum, this great audition, and you felt like this is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
100%. And I think what you're talking about is true. I think two things. I'm sorry that's where your brain goes to, and I really hope that changes soon.
I'm working on it.
Because you do deserve that. And then second of all, I think what is interesting about that is there is a difference between the way I was back in the day when you're really young and your whole life is in front of you and you just feel like the stakes don't matter. You don't have a mortgage, you don't have a house, you don't have a kid, you don't have college around the corner. Like nothing's. It's like on to the next. I feel like too, Hollywood, like you have more auditions. Like I would audition 900 times a week. So it's like, who cares if I didn't get that part? I'll get the next one, or but now when you get older, the auditions come fewer and far between and the stakes are higher. And, the actual projects are better quality. So you're meeting with higher end people and prestigious projects and these people that you really want to impress. Right. So I get that too. I totally have those moments. You just don't want to shit the bed. You can avoid shitting the bed.
Have I shit the bed? I have shit the bed before. I mean,
I have really painfully.
Oh yeah,
and done that, and just been like, oh my god.
I mean, do you have it now, or did you have any sort of anxiety before auditions then, or were you? It sounds like you were a free spirit. You were sort of just going for it every week. All these auditions, but now do you think things have changed where you're like, oh my gosh, everything's on this. I got to be great. I'm getting anxiety.
Yeah, the anxiety came later.
It always does, doesn't it? Why? Yeah. After you've had some success, you think, okay, well, why is my anxiety still here? It should be gone because I've dealt with all this stuff. I'm used to it, but you never get used to it.
No, I think that's a great question to ask my therapist, but I have an inkling of an idea. And I think it's stakes. It's also if you feel safe on a set. Or in a scene with somebody, like if they're not a safe person, it's very hard for you. If you don't have chemistry or a genuine need to, my dog wants to be on the lap with us.
That's perfectly fine.
This is Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh my gosh, Cristiano.
Him. Hi, Chris.
Very cute. Look at the cute dog.
So I think there's how safe you feel. And then I also think, I don't know. I just think it's a myriad of different possibilities.
Yeah, I think, definitely when especially on set, when you feel safe and you feel like everybody's got your back, when you feel like the other actor's listening and he's there for you and he wants you to be your best, there's something really nice about that. And
it's a big deal, but we also have to be able to push through when, say, like, I remember reading a long time ago, and this has always stayed with me, Anne Heche was in some, like, apocalyptic type movie where like a volcano is going off and like it's a very integral scene and they have to get it in one shot and you're in a scene with Harrison Ford. It was like some like massive
6 days, 7 nights. 6 days, 7 nights or something.
Maybe it was. And like the pressure is on to get it in one take.
Yeah.
You have to also be reliable, and professional enough to overcome your anxiety. And I'm just basically trying to avoid those situations at every cost.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is like we always have odd jobs. Like I could tell you I worked at a grocery store for years. I could tell you that I worked at a Petland Discounts, like cleaning chinchilla shit at 6 a.m. I could tell you that I worked at a go-kart track as a mechanic and a roller rink DJ and all these things. But like, you've done some odd jobs. I mean, now you waited tables, but you worked, I guess, in real estate, right?
I was a leasing agent at a place. But that was my least interesting job. I think my best job was I was an aerobics instructor and I worked at a video store. And then I think.
Do they still have aerobics instructors? Can you call them that? Did you ever hear, oh, you guys want to take aerobics next Tuesday?
No, I don't think they have that position anymore. It was at a Family Fitness back in the 90s or late 80s, it would have been. And then what was it? Oh, I know I am a waitress, but what makes it interesting about when I was a waitress was that it was at my parents' restaurant and my dad fired me. Like, you're bad when your dad fires you.
Why did he fire you?
Because I wasn't trustworthy enough to work the dinner. So I worked the lunch shift and I had a table of 8 people and a big ass tray with all the food that my dad was in the kitchen for the lunch hour. I guess the chef had called in or whatever. And so he was doing it. He loaded up the tray. I picked up the tray and I went through the kitchen door, which, swings. And just as I was walking out, the swinging door tipped the back of my tray because it was that big. And it was just enough for me to just lose my positioning of the tray. And everything went on the floor, crash. And my dad looked up and he goes, "You're fired."
He said you're fired on the spot.